Today I've been thinking a lot about the concept of environmental enrichment. And if you're not familiar with this term, I don't blame you because it's most commonly associated with zoos and zookeeping and captive animals. And what we're talking about, environment, the habitat enrichment, making it cooler, a more enriching, enjoyable, fun place to be. The reason that this is so important is that quite a while ago, people noticed that if you just put an animal in a box and just feed it, it kind of after a while just lies there and doesn't do much, which, if nothing else, is a very poor tourist attraction. And no one wants to see the tiger that's just lying there. So people wanted to get it to do things and really just be engaged, be involved in its own life. That's what people wanted to see. And some people discovered that if you just put things in the cage, the animal, the tiger, will play. If you put a big, giant red ball, it'll just push it around, and having something to do, anything to do, makes the animal so much happier. I'm not saying happy, just happier, because it's still probably a pretty average existence. Anyway, let's not go into that part. The point is, though, that people have thought about this a fair deal, and it applies to lots of things. We've applied it to a huge amount of animals, dogs, cats, but like all the scratching posts and whatever you can buy for your cats. It's the same shit. It's to give them something to do so that they are less, frankly, some of the models that we could use to explain some of this behavior are similar to depression or depressive experiences that humans, the traits that humans exhibit. And this makes a lot of sense, When we release serotonin, when we release dopamine, they are feedback. They are hormonal forms of feedback that our body, our brain, our physiology secretes, or rather produces, in response to things that we do or things that we experience. So if we are devoid of experiences, no wonder we're not going to be producing much of these chemicals. Now, dopamine in particular is all about, basically it's released when you do something that your brain thinks, that was good for our survival or success, let's do that again. Unfortunately, these circuits are very outdated. The technology that we experience has rapidly outpaced the actual physical genetic evolution that our bodies have gone through. So we're kind of, prehistoric monkeys living in a space age world. And what that means, and the best example of this is pornography. If you watch pornography, your brain thinks that you're having sex, which is kind of on a biological level like the whole point of us, to pass on our genes, to have kids. It's kind of, in one model, the biological model, the only reason we exist whatsoever. So any behavior that we do, or that our brain thinks we're doing, which is closer to us distributing our genes, it's like, yes, that's the best thing we can do. Let's release lots of dopamine so that behavior is reinforced. And that makes sense if we're actually sleeping with these people, and yes, but we're not. This is my point about our brains not being correctly wired for the environment. Watching pornography is what gets reinforced because our brain doesn't really know what's going on. Point of this little tangent: primitive brains, space age world. Now, a lot of people these days as well, and it's no surprise, are getting a little bit overwhelmed. I mean, look, a lot of people are not having the best time at the moment, and that is fair enough, really. And when we're feeling like things are a little bit hopeless or that it's difficult to take actions which progress us in some direction, which are generally what would be associated with dopaminergic release, when they don't seem as readily available for us, we might crave environmental enrichment. We might crave very basic stimuli around us that just make our immediate space a little bit more engaging. And it's not just that that might feel comforting, it's actually that a part of our brain is being tricked into thinking that that is a form of progress. And the best example, well, there's a lot actually, but some good examples are Instagram scrolling. Seeing other people's lives, seeing the feed like an image of someone having a holiday, being on a beautiful beach or whatever. Part of us, our brain is not used to a screen. We didn't really evolve for this. Generally, if our eyes can see something, that generally means to our primitive brains that we must be there experiencing it. So we release dopamine to reinforce this behavior because our brain thinks, oh, you're here on a holiday and this is healthy for us, this is good. Opportunities, rest, yay. Let's do this again. Thinking, let's go to the beach and have a nice rejuvenating time. Again, that's what the dopamine is going to be reinforcing. But what behavior we're doing that actually gets reinforced is staring at a screen. And our body and our brain, our physiology gets so desperate for this enrichment, this sense of progress in any direction, that as we sort of get more and more further away from feeling like we're progressing, our dependence on these other outlets grows and grows. Similar thing is games, computer games. And I'm just using examples from the home, but there are so many. Gambling's a great one because when you win, well, gambling's a terrible, terrible thing, and don't ever, 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 ever gamble. But for our brain, dopamine circuits, gambling is this incredible thing because when we win, we feel like we've suddenly made all this money. We feel we've made all this progress. It reinforces it. Our brain goes, that's a terrific thing. We should do this again because look how great how much we achieved just now. Reinforces it on that circuit level. Computer games, same thing. So many games these days. In fact, probably every single game. As you play, you feel a sense of progress. Maybe your character level's up. Maybe you get further through a level than you did before. Maybe you start getting better scores in a game, or you know, you feel like you're getting better. And in a way you are. But your character is more than perhaps you are. It's not necessarily, any form of progress, right? Our brain thinks is us improving ourselves or making more of ourselves, which is going to increase our chances of having a successful mate and great environment to raise kids. Pretty much every advancement of status, our brain, our physiology relates to, oh, that will help us have more offspring. Let's reinforce this behavior. So if I'm playing some, Valorant, and I get more kills in a certain game than I usually do, I get a better score, if you're not familiar. I'll go, yes, I am a greater person as a result, and that will reinforce this. But actually it has nothing to do with, well, yeah, you could be a pro gamer and niche cases, but generally speaking, it's our body craving a sense of progress, our physiology craving a sense of progress, and that wiring being hijacked then gets reinforced, and then we do that thing again and again. And we invest time and energy into the thing that we're hoping will make us feel more whole. Meanwhile, the dopamine is not being diverted to the places that it should be, that are actually going to help us feel better. Like going for a walk, getting some actual sunlight, going to the gym, eating good healthy food, making some business calls to advance a career, things that actually translate. That's where dopamine is designed to be wiring and reinforcing, or rather it should be doing that. And all the technology that we have right now is fucking with it. So choose carefully, and if you happen to be feeling just burnt out, spinning the, just whatever the expressions are, just stuck in a rut, you'll be more drawn to just doom scrolling. And that's more than ever when you need to put yourself into a different situation. Because whatever your body is looking for, it's not going to find it in that device, but it's going to think it is on a superficial level and keep reinforcing it. So you just get more and more and more trapped and unhappy. So just be aware of that. And while this is hard wiring of how we actually physiologically function, therefore it's very, very hard to wheel ourselves out of, we must be very strategic and know that that's something that we're up against and push hard against it, or just have good strategies to avoid these patterns and these loops. I hope that makes a useful and compelling point that serves you, if not now, then at some point in your life, because we will all get stuck in little ruts at times. So that brings us to the end of today's video, and I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, my name is Jack. I make a new video every single day. So if you like this, hit subscribe. Let's see what I talk about tomorrow. Every video I ever make is just in an effort to give you things that I believe will be helpful, will be useful, will improve your life somehow if you're able to interpret and, more importantly, incorporate the message and the meaning that I'm trying to convey. Thanks for watching. If you would like to share what resonated in the comments, I would genuinely love that. It means a lot to me. It helps me a great deal to just know what's going on. And if there's anyone else that this might resonate with, give it a, share it around. Anyway, thank you for your time. I hope this helped. Choose wisely. See you next time.